It happens in the quiet spaces. You are sitting in your car after the engine is turned off, the soft glow of the dashboard illuminating your hands, or you are standing by the window at night while the rest of the house finally sleeps. Everything in your life is ostensibly fine. The bills are paid, the doors are locked, the day is done. Yet a quiet, persistent ache rises in the chest. It is the distinct, undeniable sensation that something is missing. You scan the perimeter of your life looking for the source of the leak. You check your relationships, your bank account, your recent accomplishments, searching for the exact crack where your contentment is draining out. The mind acts like a frantic detective at a psychological crime scene, interrogating your daily routines and trying to assign a concrete cause to this abstract grief. If you can name the missing piece, you believe you can acquire it. If you can acquire it, you can finally rest. But the modern world is designed to exploit this exact vulnerability. We are surrounded by an architecture of distraction that promises to fill the gap. Every billboard, every algorithm, every cultural narrative insists that the missing feeling is a personal failure. They tell you that you are just one purchase, one promotion, or one perfect relationship away from arriving at total completion. We are sold the illusion of a finish line, so you run. You gather the things you were told would make you whole. You construct a life of impressive density, packing your schedule and your spaces so tightly that there is no room left for the void to echo. You curate a digital feed that never stops scrolling and build a fortress of noise. For a while, the sheer momentum of your effort drowns out the quiet ache. You mistake exhaustion for peace. Then the momentum breaks. A Sunday afternoon arrives with nothing on the calendar, or a sudden illness forces you into bed. The noise settles. The dust clears, and there it is, waiting for you in the center of the room, the exact same emptiness, untouched, unsolved. We treat this recurring emptiness as a malfunction in our psychological machinery. We assume that if we feel like something is missing, we must be doing something wrong or living incorrectly. But what if the premise of the entire search is flawed? What if the feeling of missingness is not a bug in the system, but the fundamental operating system itself? Thousands of years before modern advertising began monetizing our discontent, ancient traditions were investigating this exact internal landscape. The Buddhist concept of dukkha points directly to this phenomenon. Often translated poorly as mere suffering, dukkha is much more accurately understood as a persistent unsatisfactoriness. It is the profound, sobering recognition that nothing in the conditional world can ever offer permanent, unbroken satisfaction. Normalizing this unsatisfactoriness changes the entire landscape of your inner life. When you understand dukkha, you realize that the existential void is not a sign of your personal inadequacy. It is the baseline reality of the human condition. You are not broken because you feel empty. You are simply awake to the nature of existence. The friction you feel is not failure. It is the friction of being alive. The suffering does not actually come from the feeling that something is missing. The suffering comes from our violent resistance to that feeling. We exhaust ourselves fighting a war against our own nature, convinced that we are supposed to feel whole, permanent, and complete. But human beings are not statues carved from marble. We are biological events, constantly shifting, degrading, and reforming. We are, by definition, unfinished. Look closely at the people who claim to have found the ultimate answer. The figures selling permanent bliss, the billionaires chasing immortality, the influencers projecting flawless lives. Beneath the polished surface, you will find the same frantic scrambling, the same desperate attempts to outrun the void. Their denial of the missing piece only makes their movements more erratic. The refusal to accept emptiness breeds a dangerous kind of madness. Think about the last time you achieved something you deeply desired. Remember the surge of triumph, the brief intoxicating flash of arrival when the ink dried on the contract or the money hit the account. For a few hours or perhaps a few days, the hole was plugged. You thought you had finally crossed the threshold into permanent satisfaction. But then the morning came. The triumph faded into memory and the familiar quiet hunger returned. This cycle of temporary relief and inevitable return is the engine of our collective anxiety. We are addicted to the search for meaning, constantly scanning the horizon for the next object, the next person, the next experience that will finally make us solid. We treat the present moment as a waiting room, a mere transit lounge on the way to the real destination where we will finally be complete. Stop scanning the horizon. Bring your attention back into the room. Feel the weight of your body against the chair, the cool air moving through your lungs. Notice the silence beneath the hum of the refrigerator. The present moment does not ask you to be complete. It only asks you to be here. To stop the search requires a radical act of surrender. It means looking directly at the missingness and deciding not to fill it. It means investigating the empty space with curiosity rather than fear. What happens if you just let the hole be a hole? What happens if you stop trying to furnish the void and simply sit in the center of it? When you strip away the panic, the feeling of emptiness reveals its true nature. It is not a dark, consuming abyss. It is simply space. It is room to breathe. Think of the negative space in architecture, the interval in music, the emptiness full of possibilities. Without the empty space in a bowl, it cannot hold water. Without the empty space in a room, you cannot live in it. Your psychological missingness functions the exact same way. The existential void is the space where your awareness lives. If you were entirely solid, entirely complete, there would be no room for growth, no capacity for empathy, no space to receive the world. The incompleteness is the very thing that keeps you permeable to life. It is the wound where the light enters. Accepting this requires a profound shift in identity. You must transition from being a seeker of completion to a witness of your own unfolding. You stop asking what is wrong with you and start asking what this moment requires of you. The relief that washes over you when you drop the burden of completion is visceral. You no longer have to fix yourself. Society will not support this surrender. The machinery of commerce relies on your continued belief that you are broken. Every time you accept your inherent unsatisfactoriness, you become a little less profitable. A person who is at peace with their own emptiness does not need to buy a new identity every 6 months. They are immune to the manufactured urgency of the modern world. This makes acceptance a quiet, invisible rebellion. You walk through the same streets, work the same jobs, and interact with the same people, but the internal franticness is gone. You observe the endless scrambling around you with a new, somber clarity. You see the tragedy of millions of people exhausting their brief, singular lives to fill a hole that was designed to be empty. There is a deep, resonant stillness that follows this realization. It is the quiet of a battlefield after the surrender has been signed. The war for completion is over. You have lost nothing, but you have dropped a tremendous weight. The night sky is vast, dark, and mostly empty, yet we do not call it broken. We call it beautiful. Look at the natural world. A forest is never finished. It is a constant cycle of decay, emergence, absence, and presence. A river is defined by the empty channel it carves through the stone. Nature does not abhor a vacuum, it utilizes it. The human condition is no different. We are natural phenomena subject to the same laws of space and flow. To feel that something is missing is to be perfectly, terrifyingly normal. It is the signature of a conscious mind interacting with a finite reality. When the ache rises in your chest tonight, do not reach for your phone. Do not reach for a distraction. Do not immediately try to diagnose the pain. Just let it be there. Welcome the emptiness like an old friend who has come to sit by the fire. Acknowledge its presence. Let it remind you that you are alive, that you are open, and that you are part of a vast unfolding mystery that does not require your perfection. You can find beauty in the incompleteness. You can live a deeply meaningful life without ever finding the missing piece. The search is over. The void remains, but it is no longer an enemy. It is the quiet, open sky of your own awareness. Walk into the rest of your life knowing that you are unfinished, unresolved, and entirely enough. The feeling of missingness will always be with you. And for the first time, that is perfectly fine.